Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to today's Training Industry Learning Tech Showcase, Reinforcement Tools, sponsored by HSI, NovoEd, and Qstream. I'm Emma, a marketing specialist here at Training Industry, and I'm so happy you could all be here with us today. Before we get started, though, I'd like to go over a few housekeeping items to help you interact with our speakers and get the most out of today's program. Throughout the event, please feel free to use the chat for any comments and submit questions by clicking on the Q&A icon in your Zoom toolbar. We'll answer all of those questions during the event or at the end of the program during our Q&A section. At the end of your time with us, you'll notice a short survey will pop open in your browser. We'd really appreciate your feedback on today's event. And as always, our session is being recorded and archived on trainingindustry.com, and you'll receive a follow-up email later today with a link to the on-demand sessions. If this is your first Training Industry event, we'd like to welcome you. Training Industry exists to make connections among learning and development professionals. We offer tons of resources to support your role in L&D through live events like today's Learning Tech Showcase, as well as through articles on our website, our magazine, conferences, research reports, our podcast, and more. We'd also love to hear about what you've learned from today's session on social media, so please follow us and tag us on your favorite platforms so we can continue the conversation there. And now, without any further ado, it's my pleasure to introduce you to our speakers. We have Katelyn Dalton, who's the product manager at Qstream AI, and Amy O'Shea, who is the Senior Client Services Consultant at Qstream as well. Welcome, ladies.
Thanks so much for having us. All right, I'm going to take over sharing here. Perfect. So everyone, hi, thank you so much for joining us today. And thank you to Emma and Training Industries for having us. To kick things off, I know Emma already did a bit of an intro, but I'm going to do one as well. So first things first, my name is Katelyn. I'm a product manager at Qstream, and I focus primarily on our AI. And I'm based in Dublin, Ireland. With me today is Amy, who's a senior member of our client services team and is based in Barcelona, Spain. We also have Allison, who's a member of our marketing team and based in Cincinnati, Ohio, here as a panelist. So you might see her responding in the chat or the Q&A. And today we'll be discussing microlearning as it relates to knowledge reinforcement and how AI can be leveraged to support both. So before we dive in, I want to give a brief overview of who and what Qstream is. As the pioneers of scientifically proven microlearning, we have nearly 2 decades of experience helping knowledge-intensive businesses train employees effectively. In recent years, we've introduced AI into our microlearning platform, delivering additional value and even more great learning experiences to our clients, while still retaining what makes Qstream great. The Qstream platform is used by our clients for many different purposes, but for today, we will be focusing on that knowledge reinforcement specifically. So I know most of our audience is going to be aware of the science behind knowledge reinforcement. So instead, I'm going to focus on how that specifically relates to Qstream's microlearning experience. First, Qstream promotes engagement by leveraging the testing effect. Through testing, learners are more likely to gain a burst of focus, which is proven to continue even after answer submission. And knowing this, Qstream's method of providing confirmation of correct or incorrect and the answer explanation immediately after the question is asked helps those learners retain the information. Also, we know that people are more likely to respond and engage when tested versus traditional passive forms of content curation. So by using a variety of question types and styles, available in Qstream to deliver information, learners are more likely to retain the knowledge you're trying to reinforce. And a test is a test. Qstream delivers a skill level measurement of proficiency that is the foundation for manager coaching. Learners' responses leave behind a very specific measurement of their baseline knowledge at the start of the course, their progress, and their final knowledge at the end of the course. And then there's the spacing effect. So traditional methods aren't nimble enough to avoid the best intended training experiences from becoming basically a burial ground of critical knowledge. It's too much information all at once and is in too long of a format to keep learners engaged throughout the whole experience. Instead, when learning is delivered in bite-sized pieces and at a respectful pace, the mind can fit the new information into the flow of thought as well as the flow of work. With microlearning, reinforcing knowledge in scientifically proven intervals means that important topics are brought back to the surface persistently and over time. From the learner's standpoint, if they get it wrong, they know they're going to get another chance. If they get it right, they are able to confirm their knowledge and have another chance to demonstrate their mastery. And if they get it right the first time, but wrong the second, it can indicate to the manager that perhaps the learner was guessing and there's the opportunity for a coaching intervention. In all of these scenarios, the learners gain confidence in the knowledge that they have and the incentive to build it where they don't have it. And for the organization, there's clear evidence of true knowledge and proficiency through the repetition. And then there's, of course, the game mechanics side of it. So game mechanics are proven by science to add that element of excitement to the acquisition of knowledge. But it isn't always fun in games. In fact, it can be quite frustrating when people get the wrong answer, and so it should be. But it can still be fun. The element of risk there and the challenge helps transform passive intake of knowledge into something far more engaging. Both Amy and I can speak to this from our own experiences taking Qstreams. We've absolutely experienced the frustration of getting an answer wrong, and that's been annoying for sure, but also the motivation of climbing the leaderboard and trying to knock each other off it, and the feeling of success when we improve our scores. So why microlearning specifically as the digital delivery model? The science of Qstream includes proven methods that help people pause and concentrate for a moment, which we all know is increasingly hard to do in a world of digital distractions. Microlearning asks less of people, meaning that it gets right to the focus, right to the headline, so people get more out of it. And by demanding only a few minutes of their time, learners pay attention, just like they do with short things like social media, or clickbait headlines, or AI email summaries. It's much easier to get them to engage with those things than longer form content. So Qstream is in that same format that they're used to engaging with. And we live in a world full of distractions. So if you want engagement, you have to be the most distracting thing of all. And with Qstream, the likelihood of learner engagement is supported by the fact that the microlearning content is visual and easy to access, mobile, at the office, all of that. And because it's so easy to interact with, there's almost no excuse for learners not to engage, learn, and adapt. And beyond that, the same shortness that makes it digestible to learners also makes it measurable for managers. Because each learning interaction is smaller, managers have incredible exacting insight into the proficiency of their teams and team members, down to the question and down to the topic. I do promise that Amy will be showing us the AI author assistant shortly, but before we get there, I wanted to discuss how AI has changed the delivery of knowledge reinforcement. So first, it helps you optimize your time, especially important nowadays because there's a lot of situations where you don't need your training to last. Knowledge, processes, messaging, it's updating so quickly now that something that you need to deliver today, you need to reinforce today, is going to be obsolete in 6 months. Plus, it makes it faster and easier to get training closer to the source. When you're using the original document or presentation, training video, SCORM course as the reference material for AI, you're not accidentally delivering information in that knowledge reinforcement section of things, and you're also avoiding doubling those instructional design efforts. Then there's making it matter. So making it matter to the learner. AI can help curate the output to align with your audience, your learning goals, your key topics, all of that, meaning that AI can be used to create multiple, vastly different and highly relevant learning experiences from even the same original source material. The same document can deliver multiple learning experiences based on the way you tailor to your audience and your goals. And this can help you promote these materials in a way that's actually engaging for those learners because it's meant for them. And lastly, there's prioritizing impact. So with AI vastly decreasing the time and effort you'd usually spend wading through the materials, you're able to deliver the training as soon as it's needed, which is when it's going to have the greatest business impact. And with Qstream AI taking on the task of creating the learning content and doing it at a higher speed and a lower cost, you can instead focus your time and effort on measuring learning outcomes and ensuring knowledge retention. Our AI author assistant has been available for about a year now, though it's gone through a lot of growth in that time, lots of new features added over the last year. But as you can see with this quote, clients are really seeing the impact. By leveraging Qstream AI, they're able to increase that impact without sacrificing quality or accuracy. And so without further ado, I will pass things over to Amy.
Thank you so much, Katelyn. So Katelyn has kindly talked us through the how and the why Qstream can really support your modern learners in things such as knowledge reinforcement. And I suppose I get the pleasure now of showing what that looks like live in action on our Qstream. So on the screen now, you will see a Qstream branded site. For the purpose of today's demo, we've decided to brand the site with the colors for training industry and the logo. But naturally, if you want to align it to your brand's colors, you can do so, of course. We're starting here in the creation phase. So this is really where you can be creative in terms of what type of course you want to launch and use Qstream AI with all of the benefits that Katelyn talked to us through. The first step really is to add those source materials. And when we're talking here about knowledge reinforcement, being able to upload files that your users have already seen will just further aid that reinforcement. You'll see we can accept a number of files, Word documents, PDFs, JPEGs, videos, and you can upload up to 5 files at once. So now what I'm going to do is I've chosen 3 files associating to AI because it is a very topical topic in our industry currently. And you can see that as I upload them, I have information on how much availability I have in tokens. And when you are happy with what you've uploaded, the next step is really to go to these advanced settings. These fields are all entirely optional, but allows you to be a lot more targeted in terms of what content is delivered by the tool. So naturally, if you are looking to deliver reinforcement content, the more information about what you would like to achieve from the file really is beneficial in this case. Again, aligning to the audience, the training level. A really nice feature as well is regardless of what language the source material is in, you can select from the drop down of what the content, the language you would like the content to be in. So if the source material is in English, you can create the questions in Spanish. And again, being able to identify the topics when it comes to reinforcement really allows you to be targeted in terms of what are the key messages that you want to reinforce. Because naturally, as Katelyn was alluding to, the modern learner is very distracted in today's world. So the more targeted you can be in terms of what you want them to remember, the more valuable that content is going to be. Again, here you have the option to create up to 50 questions at once. So maybe you would like to create a bank of questions. Maybe you would just like to select 5 questions. As you start to increase, you will see the types and styles of activities increases. So again, you'll see a range that we will talk through today when we go through the participant experience. But the drop down here also includes something like we call Qstream comms. And that's a way for you to summarize a topic, or maybe it's at the end of a module, you would like to summarize what they saw in the module. That way, then you have the ability to have a Qstream com. Maybe it's a little snapshot of the video from the module, and then have questions to reinforce that piece over time. And you'll see then it has all the elements that all of our best practices and the science is built on. So things such as the topic, we've got our plausible distractors. Maybe you want to highlight certain things within the the answer choices. And again, having the ability to include media that they might have seen, that will really help with the visual learner. You might want to add in a video, maybe it's a snapshot from the session itself. Again, a simple embed video, and you're happy with that, so you can press save. Similar to a cooking show, I've already created a deck just to show you how easy it is to change the order of your questions. So again, if you want to have your Qstream come and maybe you want them to directly respond to a video, that will appear that way. Now you've seen the creation side of things. What I'd like to show you now is what it would look like for the learner. So as you can see on the screen, when the learner logs in, they're going to see that they have activities that they are ready to engage with. They'll see that as they scroll down, they'll get information about the Qstream course that they've been enrolled in, as well as the leaderboard, so they can see straight away they are not on the leaderboard. And it'll also give them information about when it had started, you know, that kind of just cadence information, how many questions or content they should expect to see. Again, this is the Qstream Com piece that we've talked about. So being able to deliver a summary of content that they might have already seen. So this is great, again, for that reinforcement piece, because again, if they don't engage with this piece of information, it is likely they won't get the question right. And again, the learner here is immediately seeing that they have gotten these points, and that they have information in terms of the score that they have received. Again, then we have a question to follow it up. They submit their answer and they can see that they've gotten it wrong. So what that means is that they have only gotten partial points here, but they will also see a repeat of that question, which is really honing in on the science of the repetition, that spacing effect, and really embedding the knowledge over time. And as they click continue, here is where the learning happens. They're explained why the answer is right or wrong. And again, being able to have snapshots of the PowerPoint slides that they might have seen. The final style I wanted to just highlight is the video response style. So again, when users are reinforcing a topic, you might want to see, can they apply the knowledge? It's great that they have the knowledge, but can they apply the knowledge in a given scenario? So again, the user is posed with a scenario and they can record a video. So here a pop-up will show up. They start recording their response. Again, this can be up to 6 minutes long, but it's a way for them to practice all of these scenarios that they see. And they can see, replay it, retake it, and save and submit, and it'll be sent to their manager for review. So again, having that ability to not only reinforce the knowledge, but allow them to practice the application of the knowledge will really benefit the learners over time. The final piece on the platform that I wanted to show is the direct reports. So again, we have seen the creation side of things, we've seen the participant experience, and now you might wonder, what is it like for the manager and what is their involvement here with Qstream? So if I'm assigned a manager to users within a microlearning course on the site, I will have access to this direct reports tab. And this will give me information on the stats. So really this is that measurement piece, being able to identify, are there knowledge gaps that we need to close? And really where action and with who does that action need to be taken. So straight away as a manager here, I can see that my team is doing better than the overall average, which is great for me to see. I'll see information about when the course started and when it is due to close. And you'll see little red dots. I have a video response to review. When I click more details here, it'll give me an overall snapshot of how my team is doing. So participation, I can see that all of my team have started. So that is great for me as a manager. Proficiency wise, what we call proficiency is knowledge on Qstream. So again, initial proficiency is the representation of when they first see that question. So quite high, that's a good thing for the manager. And then current. So if they start to see repeat questions here, that will really help them. And then completion. So how far are they along in the course? You get an overall leaderboard for your team, but you can also see the leaderboard of the entire Qstream as well. And then on this side here, this is a really nice visual as well, because you're able to see the level of knowledge at both the question and the topic level. So being targeted in terms of the topics that you want to reinforce allows you to then have the managers reinforce those topics as well. So just being able to use the source material as that starting point is really valuable when it comes to the reinforcement piece. And then again, the red dot, I can see that I have a video response to review as a manager here. The final thing to show is that what can be really beneficial for the managers is they can drill down to the individual level. So again, if reinforcement of this topic is really important, bring these into the one-to-ones, identify if there's a knowledge gap that we need to assess. How come you haven't practiced your video response? I need you to do that. Being able to really use real-time data and close the gaps can be really beneficial for your knowledge reinforcement. So I am going to stop sharing and open it up to questions.
Fabulous. Okay, I have a few questions for you. The first one is the AI confidential, as our content is highly proprietary and cannot be shared outside our organization or end up in a public search?
That's a great question. The answer is yes. So it is completely confidential. We have it in place so that there's zero data retention when using our AI. So anything that's put in isn't even remembered, as well as nothing that's put into the AI is used for any training of the model. So any interactions you are having with it are one and done. There's no memory associated. We, of course, Qstream stores your questions because you need those there so you can send them out to your learners. But the AI, it doesn't have any of that held within it.
Excellent. Okay, and here's another one. The translations, do they account for cultural differences? And can the AI create questions that match a company's specific terminology or tone?
So that's a great question. So like Amy showed, we have the drop downs where you can select different language options. You can also type in a language. With typing it in, you can actually select a specific region, but you can also guide how it's going to speak to a specific culture group or a specific, even let's say, industry, by using the audience field as well to really help direct it to exactly who you want to be speaking to and what kind of tone should be used there. And the AI, when it's processing let's say you uploaded some company documents for those source materials, it's going to pull the tone and the terminology directly out from there. So for example, if it's an employee handbook and you call your colleagues team members, it will use that kind of wording instead of colleagues. So it really does take into account everything that you're giving to it, you're guiding it with, and it's part of the output there.
Awesome, that's so cool.
Isn't it?
All right, here's another one. What are some of the ways your clients have most successfully added Qstream to their learning workflow?
Amy, I might ask you to take
that one. Yes. So I always think that the best place to start with Qstream is to look at what you're currently running and align that with the programs that you have. Where we've seen most success is where our clients look at it as how can it complement what they're already doing rather than looking at it as an additional tool, because really it's a way to embed it in the program and let the measurement of the Qstream influence what you're focusing on in modules. So if you're launching a 6-month program or a 6-module program, have Qstream within that program and see, is the message lining up? Use the dashboard to identify, are there any knowledge gaps? It really does help when you think of it at an overall annual feature rather than just at the once and one single use case piece.
Mm-hmm. Great. Makes a lot of sense. Here's another one. Can the AI distinguish between knowledge that just needs recall versus concepts that need deeper practice?
Oh, great question. So in short, yes, it can. So you as the author who's putting in the inputs, of course, have control over your formats. So choosing a scenario question versus a knowledge check, that changes the way that interaction is going to happen, of course. But when you choose multiple format options and ask for multiple questions, the AI actually is going to automatically select the best format for that content. And then, of course, you can use the different fields to then help guide the outcomes, such as the behavioral and learning outcomes. So you can help guide that experience, should you wish to, but it will intelligently choose what question type to use based on the kind of content that it's looking at and what it's trying to create.
Awesome. All right, I think we have time for 2 more. This question is from Thomas. Does Qstream address diversity, equity, and inclusion considerations, for example, accessibility for visually impaired individuals?
Yes, so we have been committed to keeping the platform accessible, both in format as in like computer versus not, but also for different types of learners. So we have worked with different groups to ensure we're ADA compliant and make sure that the platform is able to be used with things like screen readers, etc. And also, you might have noticed when Amy was editing the question there, you could see that there was the option to add in the image explanation like beneath it, so that can help with any folks who are using things like screen readers or need that extra context for one reason or another.
Amazing. Okay, and our last question. What makes Qstream more engaging than alternatives?
Amy, do you want to take that one, or do you want me to?
I would say there's a number of factors that really do make Qstream more engaging. So again, a huge part of it is that leaderboard piece that Katelyn alluded to. It is crazy the amount of clients that come to me and they are asking about 2 points, 1 points. It can be a fantastic driver for engagement, and even seeing those points add up over time is a great driver for engagement. Likewise, as well, the ability to have a variety of types and styles and include media. So again, the more media rich the course can be, again, as Katelyn alluded to, the modern learner, we're all distracted. So being able to have a variety of images or maybe a video does keep the user coming back, and having the ability to answer on the mobile app or in your desktop on the way to work, all of that really does aid the ability to make it engaging, but also meet the learner where they are in their day to day.
Great. All right, well, those are all of the questions we have, and we're just about out of time. So thank you so much, Katelyn and Amy, for being here today. This was a great session.
Thank you. Really appreciated it. And thanks to everyone who joined us.
Yes, thanks everybody.
Awesome. Well, that's it for today's Learning Tech Showcase. Thanks again to all of our great speakers and sponsors from HSI, NovoEd, and Qstream. All of today's sessions are pre-qualified for 1 credit hour by SHRM, HRCI, ISPI, and CPTM. I'd love to see you all in Milwaukee this fall at the end of the month for the 2025 Training Industry Strategy Summit. You can collaborate with your peers, industry experts, and thought leaders as you build, refine, and future-proof your organizational learning strategies. This is more than just a conference. It's really a working session for learning leaders who want to align learning with business outcomes. You can learn more and get your tickets at summit.trainingindustry.com. And optimize your organization's learning technology lifecycle for lasting business impact with an in-depth understanding of how to select, purchase, implement, maintain, and retire learning technologies with the Managing Learning Technologies certificate. One last reminder that a survey will pop open in your browser when you leave this webinar. We would really appreciate your feedback. Thank you all for joining us today. I hope you have a great day. Until next time, my name is Emma, and I'll see y'all later. Thank you.